Muhammad Ad-Daif is a killer. He's the man number 2 in Hamas chain of command. He is the man who planned and led the October 7th massacre as well as other terrorist operations. He has the blood of many Israelis on his hands. Yesterday, around midnight, when Shabak proposed to me the plan of the attack, I wanted to know 3 things. 1, that according to the intelligence, there are no captives next to him. 2nd, I wanted to know the extent of collateral damage. And 3rd, I wanted to know the type of munitions that will be used. And after I received satisfying answers, I gave my blessings to the operation and I wished them major success. This success will free the Middle East and the entire world of these killers, and everywhere will be a better place. These few opportunities are made available to us through excellent intelligence work and another circumstance, which is the fact that we've used all internal and external pressures and we increased efforts in order to continue the war until all our objectives have been met. Since the beginning of the war, I said that all commanders of Hamas, their fate will be death, and we will hold them accountable. And killing any Hamas commander brings us closer to achieving our objectives, ending Hamas, freeing our captives, and eliminating any future threat that Gaza might constitute to Israel. And this brings us closer to our objectives in other regions and other areas. This is a message to Iran and its proxies in the region. Citizens of Israel, since October 7th, the state of Israel has been facing an existential threat, not just the Iranian nuclear threat. This is a threat that we will do everything in our power in order to eliminate and to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon. However, Iran is trying to threaten us using massive rocket power from Hezbollah, Hamas, the Houthis, as well as militias in Iraq and Syria. And defeating Hamas is a prerequisite condition in order to defeat Iran's entire axis of evil. And for that reason, we must not give up that victory. Many people are wondering, when will this war end? And my answer is clear. The war will only end after we have accomplished all of our objectives, and not a single moment before that, because victory is not a word that is devoid of meaning. Victory can only be achieved when we have destroyed Hamas's administrative and military capabilities, when we've brought all of our captives back home, and when we can guarantee that Gaza no longer represents a threat to Israel, and we can allow our citizens in the north and the south to return home safely. This is a decisive victory. This is the victory that will allow Israel to regain its deterrence, and this is the victory that will tell our enemies that the price of touching us and attacking us will not be a price they can bear. Recently, we have noticed that there are dissensions within Hamas, and under the force of the strikes which we've dealt the movement, we are noticing changes, we are noticing weakness. Also, the operation we conducted today has contributed to that end, regardless of the result. Hamas commanders are hiding underground, and they are separated and isolated from their activists in the field. And the people of Gaza are living a disaster nowadays as a result of Hamas, even though part of the people of Gaza supported October 7th. But today I heard Gaza residents talking about Hamas operatives hiding amongst the population. We will continue to operate with unprecedented force in order to liberate all of our captives. Our forces are deployed all over Gaza, Khan Yunis, Shuja'iyya, Rafah, the Philadelphia corridor. We will go wherever terrorists came on October 7th. We will go there, we will fight, and we will be victorious. Citizens of Israel, 120 of our brothers and sisters are still in Hamas' hands, and they are in our minds with every decision we make. Bringing them back is a moral imperative. So far, we have brought back 125 of our captives through a combination of military pressure and determined intelligence efforts. And only through the continuation of this dual effort will we be able to bring all of them back. However, here, let me be very clear, and this might contradict a large number of statements made by international parties. I will not step away a single inch from the proposal that was put forward by President Biden. We will not set any conditions. However, at the same time, we will not allow Hamas to move away from the proposal. Hamas has requested 29 changes to the proposal. However, I told them that I shall not allow even a single change. This proposal was blessed by President Biden, and I insisted on 4 conditions that are already mentioned in the proposal. First off, our right to return to the battlefield until all our objectives have been met. Second, prevent weapons smuggling to Hamas through Egypt, which means continuing our control over the Philadelphia corridor and the Rafah border crossing. Third, I insist that armed men and military equipment cannot return to northern Gaza. And fourth, I insist that we bring back as many captives as possible alive in the first round of negotiations. And here I would like to address the families of our captives. I know the state of uncertainty and doubt that you're going through. However, I tell you tonight very confidently that we will not give up a single one of our captives. I personally will not give them up, and I will make sure that we bring them all back. If we insist on our conditions, we will reach a deal that will liberate all of our captives dead and alive, and we will continue the fight until victory. On the northern front, our position is also clear. All those who attack us will be killed. And here I would like to address our dear citizens living in the north. I am aware of the great suffering you are going through, and I'm very appreciative of your determined stance and position. We are not willing to accept the situation in the north, and we will make sure that you return home one way or the other. We are determined to change our reality in the north. This security reality, we want to change it not for days or weeks, but for generations, and this is what we will do. Citizens of Israel, this war is costing us dearly. There is a road to victory, and we are still expecting days of combat. However, I promise you that through our unity, through our determination, and through our faith, we shall be victorious. And thanks to Allah, we will fight, and thanks to God, we will be victorious. Channel 13. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you very much for this press conference. After over 100 days during which you did not hold any pressers, can you please confirm to us that there were no captives whatsoever in the region that was targeted today? And whenever we move towards a prisoner swap, you always publish a statement where you insist on maintaining control over the Philadelphia corridor, and this has an impact on the negotiations. First off, what you said is inaccurate. My last presser was not over 100 days ago, but very recently I held a press conference with military reporters, and they were allowed to ask any questions they wanted. That is point one. Point two, I have already said that intelligence showed there were no captives in the area. And this is commensurate with our policy. In all of our operations, we try to confirm as much as possible that there are no captives in the targeted area, and usually we are highly successful in that regard. As far as what you said is concerned about progress on the prisoner swap, why are you talking about progress? Do you know why there was progress? Yes, there was progress, of course. But why? Because over a period of months, there was no progress. The military pressure and military action was sufficient. And I said that in order to conclude a deal and in order to defeat Hamas, we need to enter Rafah. There was international diplomatic pressure on us in order to keep us from going in. There was U.S. pressure on us asking us not to go in. And the Americans even reduced the weapon supplies to keep us from going into Rafah. And I told our friend Joe Biden, we do not have a choice. We are going into Rafah. I am going into Rafah because if we allow Hamas to stay there, we will not be able to bring our captives back, and we will not defeat Hamas, and Hamas will go back to control the entire Gaza Strip. So what will we have done then? We will just be waiting for another round with hundreds of dead people. So we went into Rafah, we occupied the Philadelphia crossing and the Rafah crossing, and we killed hundreds of terrorists. In other areas, we killed hundreds of terrorists as well. And suddenly, things started moving. And here, we see that Hamas, regarding the first condition that I mentioned, there were lots of discussions on the first round and the second round, and I said no. I said that this combination of military pressure and military action, that was a result of my insistence on going into Rafah. And yes, there were some differences with the Americans, and I believe their opinion was legitimate. However, my decision was different, and we ended up going into Rafah. And then we thought that we do not really have to be stubborn regarding the continuation of the war. However, now things are different. So if there's any progress, if there are any changes, this is a direct result of our sustained military pressure. And here it shows that the military pressure is bearing fruit. And I really beg to differ with any statements and any opinions indicating that I am being stubborn and I am hindering a deal. The situation is completely different. I will act in good conscience, and if there is a good deal, I promise you that we will okay it. However, in order for us to get a good deal, we must insist on our positions and our stances. Shall we allow weapons to be smuggled to Hamas from Egypt? No, we cannot allow that. Can we allow thousands of terrorists to go back to northern Gaza? No, because if we do that, we will not have accomplished anything, and all the sacrifices we made will have been made in vain. This is clear. My conditions were already mentioned in the deal, in the proposed deal. I added nothing, and I took nothing out. Channel 24. The decision to not notify the Americans prior to the assassination, was it due to them being against it? I do not understand it. When we carry out an assassination, first off, the Americans know that this is our policy, and this is their policy as well, by the way. However, what would we be doing? We would only be jeopardizing the operation if we allow information to be leaked outside. And the moment any information is leaked, they will go directly into the tunnels and the operation will fail. For that reason, we notify our American friends at the right time, and when that is not required, we do not do it. Channel 11. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister. The Minister of Defense asked yesterday for an official inquiry committee, and this was not the first time he has asked for that. When will such a committee be established? And do you want to oust him because he said that the Prime Minister should be investigated as well? Well, first off, the nomenclature does not matter. There is a need to investigate the situation before the war, during the war, and look at the lessons learned. However, I've often said that we are going to need an investigation following the end of the war. We are at a critical stage of the war, contrary to what has been said, and I have already told you that every day we move closer towards victory. We are able to trample them. We are able to terminate them. However, the defeatist language, when we say that there is nothing to do, there is nothing we can do, and it is impossible to defeat Hamas, of course it is possible to defeat Hamas with great strength, with great determination of our soldiers who are inspiring. This is point A. Point B. Other fronts might flare up. We do not know that. So, at the time where our soldiers and our officers are having to deal with lawyers, other fronts might flare up. Some people were opposed to investigation committees. However, now we want an official investigation committee. My position remains unchanged. We have to wait until the end of the war. Right now, we are in the midst of a successful war. I'm not just talking about the operation that was carried out today. I believe that we are progressing positively in the war, and this positive progress should not end for any reason whatsoever. And by the way, I never oust ministers. I ask them to work together, and this is what we will continue to do. Mr. Prime Minister, how do you respond to what was said by the military advisor who expressed concerns over attempts to change the content of the protocol of sensitive meetings during the war? These are lies. First off, this is not possible. Everything is documented, everything is recorded, everything is computerized, and therefore, from a practical standpoint, that is impossible. Yediot, question. Mr. Prime Minister, at a time where you commend operations conducted by the military and Shabak, your son is sitting in Miami and launching a fierce campaign against the army and Shabak, Shin Bet, and is spreading conspiracy theories. Shouldn't you talk to him and tell him that right now we need our unity? My dear son, I love him dearly. He is independent and he is expressing his opinion. That is his right. However, if you are talking about unity, then why in the media you are always saying that we need more protests and we need to hold the elections as soon as possible? This goes directly against the concept of unity. However, this is what you are doing. The majority of Israelis have been rallied for the war. We all know what we must do. However, I agree we must look for unity and not for divisions these days. Mr. Prime Minister, I would like to know, why do you only hold press conferences when accomplishments are delivered? Why do you not address the public after failures or when you're being questioned? Unfortunately, we are experiencing failures and we are paying a dear price. When I met your colleague, the military correspondent, I told him that unfortunately we are paying a dear price. However, this ugly campaign that was launched, these people saying that I never meet with the families of the captives, or that I'm meeting with certain families and not others, they are saying horrible things. They are accusing me of looking for the next victim. They are telling me that I smile whenever I hear about a new victim. Personally, I've lost people who are very close to me. I've lost a brother in arms, and therefore these things they are saying are horrific. I only speak when it is appropriate, and when I have something clear to say, I decide to speak. Today, we are at a critical juncture. Yes, we do not have confirmed results. However, just the attempt to assassinate Hamas commanders delivers a message to the world, a message that Hamas's days are numbered. And this is what I will be doing next week at the U.S. Congress. I will deliver Israel's message to the United States and the entire world. One last question, Walla. Mr. Prime Minister, it's been 9 months since October 7th. On Thursday, there was an investigation on the events that took place at the Be'eri kibbutz. As far as I know, you never met the residents of Be'eri and their families, the families of the victims that fell during the October 7th massacre. When will you meet with the families of the October 7th families? That is not true. I have met families from the area. I have met a large number of families. I meet with the families all the time, families who have lost their loved ones. We are rehabilitating and rebuilding the kibbutzes, and we have dedicated large sums of money in order to do that. I have appointed a supervisor, and he has done a fantastic job in that regard, and I meet families all the time. Therefore, that statement is simply not true.